much appreciation on our part on behalf of Nucor for the Chamber allowing us this opportunity to be here in Brandenburg. And more importantly, the thanks and the appreciation that we send out to each and every one of you to help us bring this project here to this area. We are unbelievably excited. I'm here today. I've got a couple of our team members, Paul, our safety director, Rob, our environmental manager. We've got several of our additional managers coming into the area. We're getting boots on the ground here. Things are beginning to happen. And I get the privilege and the opportunity to stand in front of this crowd today and share with you about Nucor. I've been blessed to be part of Nucor for about 17 and a half years. And it's been a phenomenal opportunity for me. It has provided for my life, my family. It's given me opportunity to see areas in North Carolina, Louisiana, Illinois, and now here in Kentucky. This morning I had the opportunity to go over and do the home inspection over in Doe Valley as I'm working to close on a home there in Doe Valley to be part of this neighborhood and part of this community for hopefully many, many years to come. And we're going to change the shape and the face of this area in a very positive way. You know, one of the things that happens as we move into an area, and I love the philosophy that, so oftentimes people think about change. When we think about change, often we think about it that people don't enjoy change. But I have a different theory on that. I think everyone loves change. Everyone truly loves change. People love change when it's their idea or when it's not happening to them. So everyone loves change. Well, there is change coming. But I assure you, as having been part of Nucor and seeing the opportunity that this is presented in the areas that I've been in the past, this is going to be a wonderful thing here in Brandenburg. The other thing that takes place is oftentimes we don't recognize or we have misconceptions about what's about to take place. So how many experts do we have in the room today about the steel industry and manufacturing? Now, come on.
I'm going to put my hand
And I hired those two guys. That's kind of scary. But you know, one of the problems we face as individuals is we don't necessarily always know and recognize what's coming our way. And we get misconceptions about what those opportunities may be or not be. And we think about years past. Have you ever seen those pictures? Any of you think about when you heard the announcement that a steel mill was coming to Brandenburg, that that's what a steel mill would look like? Did you? If you did, that's okay. It's really okay, because the problem is that unless you're familiar with what the steel industry looks like today, and unless you're familiar with what Nucor has done to transform that industry and the way that we go about doing business, that may be the only facts and information you have around the steel industry. And that was the steel industry many years ago. But let me show you the steel industry that we live in today. That's the steel industry that we live in today. It's a modern facility. It's an industry made up of high technology. It's an industry made up of very diverse workforces, specialized workforces. It's an industry that prides itself on community stewardship and prides itself on environmental stewardship. So the industry that was of yesterday is no longer the industry of today. The industry of today is what you see represented here in the pictures. And the industry of today is the industry that Nucor helped transform. And it's the industry that we plan to bring here to Brandenburg. And as we talk about that transformation, the technology that has gone into steelmaking, and my goal today is not to make any of us experts around steelmaking, but I think it's important for each of us to have some level of understanding about our process as it relates and compares to the processes of other steel companies and the processes that have been used in history. See, many years ago, there was a change in technology. The change took place from producing steel from always going from coke-based and blast furnaces and what they called integrated steel processing to a new technology that reshaped the efficiency and the environmental friendliness of steelmaking. Now that's pretty cool. It really is. But what's even cooler about that to me is that Nucor was at the cutting edge of that technology. We helped lead that initiative. We helped drive that initiative. The process that we employ at Nucor is one in which we're the largest recycler in North America. And when you think about that, we're not just producing finished plate steel when we get through with this process. We're the largest recycler. We're going to effectively take millions of tons of scrap steel out of landfills and turn it back into usable products. So we take scrap steel, we charge it into an electric arc furnace, we cast that product through a caster, and then we roll it through a mill, produce it into final finished products. And we're going to show you some examples later on, some photos as to what those end uses are. Part of our company is made up of these recycling yards. A few years ago, several years ago, we purchased the David J. Joseph Company, which happens to have facilities in Louisville. So not only are you getting the opportunity, and we getting the opportunity to locate here in Brandenburg, but we already have a footprint here in the area, as well as throughout the state of Kentucky. 71% of our end product will be produced by recycling material. Think about the impact that has on us as citizens, on us in our environments, in the places that we live and work. Give you some numbers. If you think about how steel has historically been produced and how steel globally steel is produced, and you think about greenhouse gas, how many of you have heard greenhouse gas? Okay? You can't pick up the paper, turn on the news, any headline, you hear greenhouse gas. If you look at the comparative analysis of producing steel and the old normal way, you get this global average about 1.83 tons. The comparative analysis is 0.88. You say, okay, give me some representative understanding of that. With that number, that's 4 million cars off the road. That's what that means. When we produce steel in our manner, using electric arc furnaces, that's the impact we have to the environment of reducing that carbon footprint. Not only is it better on the carbon footprint, but it's also better in the energy intensity. You can see the magnitude of reduction of 20 down to less than 5 in the manner in which we go. That would light essentially the houses across the state of Kentucky, and with the power that we're able to save in the manner in which we go about it. You know, we had some questions that came up, and we talk about this environmental footprint. That facility you see there, that's a photo of our Gallatin operation, which is just on the other side of the state. So you think, well, you can take photos from anywhere. Well, that's a sister facility that's just a couple of hours away from us. That facility does many of the same type processes that we'll employ here at Brandenburg. The electric arc furnace, the casting process, the reheating process. Now their finished goods are differently, but their volumes have to date been very similar. So the type technology they're employing is very similar to ours. One of the other things that's come up, we've talked about emission sources, and I've worked to give you an example or a representation of what you will see visibly. But the other question that often comes up for us is, okay, what is it going to do to change and shape the noise in the area? It is a manufacturing facility, okay? So it's not without noise, okay? But in the same regard, we're doing everything that we can to be mindful of the impact we have holistically in this community. We're thinking about it from when in fact we do construction activities, when we operate the construction activities. We've thought about it from what trend lines that we have in place to help buffer the noise. We've thought about it as to where we locate the buildings and the equipment within our footprint of the facility to try to buffer that. So that is in the construction phase. As we move forward to operations, we're talking about the amount of equipment that will be under roof. We're talking about the equipment buffering noise prevention systems that will be placed on that. So we think about the environmental stewardship in many aspects. We think about it from the emissions aspect, we think about it from the noise aspect. As I shared with you, I'm going to be right here in Brandenburg. I want to enjoy this. I understand there's a walking trail, and I know it because I've been on it. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and I enjoyed it. We want to enjoy that. We want our community to be able to continue to enjoy that for a period of time. I want to be able to go out there and enjoy that walking trail. So we're doing the things that we're very, very mindful of our impact here to this area, and that we can enjoy, and I can enjoy, my family can enjoy this area for many, many years to come, and generation after generation. We've had facilities celebrate 30 years, 40 years, 50 years in that area. And you go and you visit those facilities, and what do people say? They say, Nucor's here, they do the right thing. We've got facilities almost in the downtown Seattle So if you've ever been more towards the West Coast, if you've ever been to Seattle, you can understand and you can gain an appreciation as to even the greater level of sensitivity that may exist in that area. We've got facilities that operate in those zones and do so because of the responsibility that we have. I love this slide for many reasons. This slide depicts a number of things. One of which it gives you perspective and gives us perspective on the company that's coming here to Brandenburg. We're not one isolated company, facility that's going to locate in Brandenburg. We actually have over 300 locations scattered across the U.S., some in Canada, Mexico, other facilities internationally. So we're 300 locations. 27 million tons. 27 million tons of steel-making capacity. The numbers are representative of 2018. We have not yet reported our 2019 results. 2018 was a phenomenal year for the market in general, for the steel industry certainly, and for Nucor it was a record year. 2019 that doesn't necessarily eclipse a record year, but it's still a good year. $25 billion in sales in 2018. 27,000 teammates. That's what makes up Nucor. And one of the last things on this slide that really means a lot to me and to our team is you think about a company that's been in the steel side of this sector since the 1960s. And you think about the cycles that our industry and markets have gone through during that period of time. We've lived it, right? During that period of time in our steel sector, we've never laid off a team member. Since 1960 to date, we've gone through those cycles, and we've never laid off a teammate. Now, there's been tough times, and there have been good times. In the tough times, from our CEO down to the newest hired utility on the floor, or the newest hired administrative team member, we tighten up the belt, we pitch in, we collaborate, and we get through it. But we remain gainfully employed. We keep our benefits. We keep our job. Share with you a little bit about the market leadership position it holds. We hold a number one position in several market segments. And I call to your attention here the plate sector and the number two. Well, I don't like being number two, all right? Nucor doesn't like being number two.
It's an Alabama thing.
It is. I sure do like her. It is an Alabama thing. It's a Nucor thing. Well, that in and of itself helped us make this decision. This decision about coming here to Brandenburg is about helping us as a company further establish ourselves as a market leader in plate. Brandenburg, the state of Kentucky, is going to help Nucor drive itself in this role of being a number one leader in plate. And not only that, we're going to have a plate facility here in Brandenburg, unlike any plate facility in the U.S. It's a showplace, and it's going to produce products unlike and have capabilities unlike any facility in the U.S. It's always interesting to see, well, what does the products that Nucor make go into? And where do those products go? So, from East Coast to West Coast, from north to south, we touch it all. And that's some pictures that represent the products that we've had from the One World Trade Center to the bridges, to cars, and to heavy equipment. Our products go into a multitude of applications. And those products range in the form of anything from rebar to merchant bar quality product, to plate product, to sheet product, to fasteners, which are nuts and bolts. We touch it all. We're the largest breadth company in the steel sector that there is from product breadth, largest recycler. So what drives Nucor to this level of success? We all have our mission statements, don't we? How many of you have your mission statements? We do. And this is what drives us. It's driven us for many, many years. It's been tweaked from time to time, but it centers around taking care of our customers, and we expand that customer breadth to include our teammates, our shareholders, our vendors, our suppliers, centers around relationships. It focuses on being safe. It focuses on quality, cost, and productivity. And it focuses on being community and environmental stewardship. And it starts with our culture. Nucor is absolutely nothing without our team and without our culture. Our culture and our team is what separates us. In the world we live in today, there's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of companies that have great equipment, that invest in great equipment. The thing that has absolutely separated us and continues to differentiate us is our team and our culture. And it starts with safety, and it ends with safety. We're going to touch on safety a little deeper in the coming slides. But it's a commitment to our teammates. That commitment, as you heard earlier, when the times get tough, we all pitch in and we make it happen. When the times are really, really good, we all share in the really, really good. And we're forever committed to our team. It centers around teamwork. I'm a huge sports fan. I believe in teamwork. You will hear me refer to our team, not as employees, but as our team. And it focuses on our teamwork that we have. We will be successful as a team, and if we fail, we will fail as a team, and we'll figure it out, and we'll come back, we'll correct it, and we'll win. It's a decentralized structure. It's the autonomy of our team at whatever level they exist at, whether it's an entry-level new hire, to make decisions. To us here at Brandenburg, to make decisions on how we operate our facility, the things that we invest in, the way we participate in the community. It's a long-term focus. Too often in today's markets, companies get fixated on those short-term investor turns. We have a long-term focus. We have $3.4 billion of investments underway. The steel industry is not a short turnaround. It's going to take us 2 years to get this facility built and in operations. 2 years for this facility. We're investing another $650 million in our Gallatin facility at the same time. Our expected returns don't happen overnight, so we go with it from a long-term perspective. And we focus on continuous improvement. If we don't get better tomorrow than we were today, then we haven't done our job. So safety. Safety is very near and dear to me. The last thing that I ever want to do is make the phone call or the visit to the home of a spouse, of a mother, a father, or a relative to tell them that their son, daughter, husband, or wife has been hurt. It's just not acceptable. It's simply not acceptable. And we focus on it from a perspective of safety as a value. And we often hear safety as a priority, and I differentiate the two in a couple of ways. And you'll hear us, we'll talk about it as a priority. We'll discuss it as a priority. But I think it has to go deeper in a priority. And I think it has to become a value. And I know some of you in the room better than others, so I'll call on you, I'll pick on you a little bit from time to time. David. Y'all don't mind if I pick on David, do you?
We don't mind.
So David, when you were 15, 16, did you have any priorities? Don't answer that. But you know, it's, you know, priorities change as we shape through life, right? They do. When we're 15 and 16, it's the football game, it's the hunting, it's the fishing, and then all of a sudden we wake up one day and, wow, I've got a family that I've got to support. I've got people depending on me. I've got a job I've got to go to. It doesn't mean that those are wrong priorities at any given time. They just reshape themselves. Now let me ask the group. As you're being brought up in life by your parents, your grandparents, those that influenced you, did they talk to you and influence you about integrity, about work ethic, about doing the right thing and treating others with respect? Yes. They did. Yes. They did. You did it then, right? Do you still do it today?
Yes.
Do they change just because you got up one morning and something happened? It doesn't. So I differentiate and I emphasize the fact that for us to be successful in safety as a team, we not only have to consider it as a priority and keep the focus on it, but it has to become a value that we live by each and every day. We believe in a focus on beyond zero. And you might ask, well, what is beyond zero? Well, it's not only good enough for us to achieve zero, and zero is a number. Zero's zero incidents or zero recordables or zero, lost time. We want to go beyond that to ensure that we're always better so we don't misstep. The last point on the slide talks about being a VPP site. And for those that maybe not familiar with that, that's a categorization that OSHA places on facilities. It's a voluntary participation program. And what it does is it recognizes facilities for their commitment to safety, their focus on safety, the empowerment they place on their team, the commitment their team has on safety, and the results they have delivered through that participation. 24 of our facilities across steelmaking and product group that are eligible for this have received that award and recognition, including our Gallatin facility. Brandenburg will be one of those sites. We will be that. We dig a little deeper into safety, and too oftentimes safety gets centered around it's an obligation, it's a rule, it's a regulation. Yes, it is. But you know what? Doing the right thing is a moral obligation. It's making sure that I or any of our team never have to make that phone call. And what I also know is that when you show the team that you care about them going home to their family, and their family knows that you care about them, the performance improves, the team dynamic improves, and your overall business collaboration improves. So it's a win-win. There's no win-lose. It's an absolute win-win when you do the right things about safety and about making it a family. We've talked about the decentralized structure, and it's a commitment. We want to drive every decision to the team member that has the most impact from that decision, the most knowledge of that decision, and the most capability to influence it. So you may be a new hire and you may be asked, what can you do to improve a process? We expect you to contribute. It's not just a suggestion. We want you to contribute. It's an expectation of employment, as is safety. But it's very decentralized. We want people participating in how we run our business. I get asked all the time, especially in these phases, how do I go about getting hired at Nucor? What's the process to get hired at Nucor? And it's, well, I have to have this degree or that degree. And yes, there are jobs within Nucor that may need degrees. But you know, it's much simpler than that, and it's fundamental. One of the biggest things that we look for is, does that individual have the makeup that we list here? Does he or she represent the attributes of integrity? Are they committed to teamwork? Do they have a can-do attitude and spirit? Do they have courage? So see, the process of getting hired at Nucor, well, we have our process steps that you go through and the applications and the screenings and all that. The things that we look for are things that we teach our children that we talk about every single day. They're things that we focus on. I wish I had several days to talk more about the process of hiring, and we're going to have hopefully opportunity to share more and more of this with the community. But these are the things we keep coming back to. When we're screening, I can tell you that every one of our team members in the process of hiring, we're going to be looking, does this person represent these characteristics? I also wanted to share with you a little bit about the impact steel has on the community. Those are big numbers. The numbers at the top represent the American steel industry and the impact in dollars that it has across the U.S. $130 billion in wages. That's between direct and indirect jobs. In Kentucky, $2.5 billion. And then the Chamber's put together some flyer information based on some economic impact study reports that have been done. They're sharing that. We want to help provide information on the impact Brandenburg's going to have, as well as the whole steel industry here in the area. Give you a little bit of a footprint as to Nucor in the state of Kentucky. So approximately 2,000 team members here in the state of Kentucky. So if you think about that, of 27,000 team members, nationwide, 2,000 in Kentucky and growing, right? With each and every one of us that come here to the state. You can see the concentrations here. I like the red circle there. Y'all know where the red circle's at? Very good. If you think about where we fit, we're part of the plate group. Our plate group does discrete plate and coiled plate products. That's a segment of the steel market. Us here in this area, we're located here because of the attractiveness on logistics, the potential to further serve the Midwest market, and also because of the breadth of our product being able to serve the West market, this North-South market, and the East Coast market. We have facilities on the East Coast. Actually, that's where I started my career at, up here in North Carolina, with Nucor 17 plus years ago. We have a facility down in Alabama and one in Texas. All those facilities combined still do not have the breadth of what Brandenburg will have. That is a site rendering of what Brandenburg will look like. So we're excited about that. Approximately 1.5 million square feet under roof. We will have access and serve the facility via truck, via rail, and via barge. You can see we'll have a port facility here. We'll have the rail coming in from the east, coming around, loop track. You can see to the south of the facility, the tree line going up that way, and the footprint of the facility. A little bit about what the facility makeup. $1.35 plus billion that we plan to invest here in Brandenburg. Where we're at today is we have commitment in place of over $400 million. So we've already executed contracts for equipment in the neighborhood of $400 million. We've actually paid out about $55 million in our process of locating here. The anticipated startup is 2022, 400 full-time jobs with an average pay of $72,000. And then during the site construction, we anticipate average through the process of around 960 with peaking periods in excess of 1,500 contractors on site. And then you can see, based on some of the economic reports done, we think this could have direct and indirect job impact across the state of over 3,000 jobs, as well as $14 million of payroll impact. And when you think about payroll impact, that's payroll taxes, it's also sales that's generated from additional payroll coming into the economy. 1.2 million tons of steel product. So when we're up in full operation, we'll have the opportunity to ship out 1.2 million tons. Again, the breadth of that will be anywhere from 3/16 inch of gauge product up to 14-inch thick product, from 60 inches in width out to 168 inches in width, and from essentially 120 inches in length up to 1,500 inches in length. Any single plate, we would anticipate we could have a plate that could ship, one single plate that could ship up to 50 tons in a single plate. One of the attractive opportunities for Brandenburg was the central location, both for the market that we will be able to serve, as well as sourcing our raw materials. That scrap-based raw materials will come from this region, this hub, and be serviced river, as well as the rail service. As I enjoyed the pictures before, I thought it'd be nice to see some photos of specifically what our plate may go into. You can see heavy equipment bases. One of the exciting opportunities is that we'll serve our military applications, naval shipbuilding. We'll serve bridges, our energy infrastructure from oil and gas to wind towers, offshore, and rail cars. And there's a sundry of other markets that we participate in, but those are some of the key markets that we'll be able to serve in the near future. And you see some of the scope and size of the equipment that our product will be able to participate in. So we talked about community stewardship, something that's also near to our heart. That is something that you can see here pictures of sister divisions and what they participated in. We take this seriously. It comes in the form of, do we participate when there's a catastrophic event that may hit an area? We've unfortunately had tornadoes hit regions, and our team's done phenomenal jobs of helping with cleanup, We've had food drives as upcoming here in this area, where we've been very active and participatory outreach to help needy children, elderly in the region, outreach on education. One of the things that we're very proud of is the focus on education that we have. Every single team member's child is eligible for $3,500 per year in scholarship for up to 4 years. There's a beautiful story that goes with that. When that got implemented, Ken Iverson, which was Key, one of our founders in the 60s, was visiting one of our steel facilities down in South Carolina. And he was on the shop floor, as our leadership team often like to be and expected to be. He's walking through, and this has been implemented. One of the team members walks up, and he's relatively new to Nucor, and they were talking about that, and he said, I hear, and this, the 3,500 has grown over the years. Maybe it was 1,500 then, maybe it's 1,200, but the number was still considerable back in the 60s, really considerable back in the 60s. He looked at Ken, and he said, Ken, is that really true that every single child gets this scholarship? And Ken said, yes. And the team member looked at him, he said, are you serious? Ken said, yes. The team member said, I've got 8 kids. And Ken said, it's still yes. It's amazing. We've had the good fortune of participating in a lot of ceremonies at the end of the school year where those scholarships are handed out, and it's a blessing to give out scholarships regardless of the amount. If it's $1 up to whatever the level is, it's something the child did not have. So I don't want to take anything away from any scholarship, but oftentimes we go and it's a $500 bill, and then we've had people come, are you serious? It's $3,500 per year up to 4 years for the child? And we get to say, yes, it is. So we're very proud of that. We also offer some benefit to spouses. It's a 2-year program for our spouses, and we certainly encourage the participation for our team members to go and encourage them to go and continue their education. There's a sundry of photos here. There's things that we're doing. I know one of the keys, and I talked about the hiring. I want to elaborate on hiring a little bit. It's going to be a few months before we get deep into the hiring mode here in this area. We're bringing on some of our leadership team now that will be very much participating in that hiring as we roll out. The needs are going to be extensive. We're going to need anything from utility team members to professional team members in IT, accounting, purchasing, safety. We'll need additional resources in those areas, engineering. Talents that we need desperately center often around the technical talents from electricians and maintenance talent. Those are some of the skill sets. I was asked earlier today at the table about a program that we implemented a few years ago, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share just a little bit. We call it our technical academy. And what we realized is we just simply were not keeping pace with the demands in today's market to have the electrical talent that we needed. Multiple reasons why. One of which, manufacturing in and of itself several years ago became an industry that was a dying industry. And parents began to tell their children, you do not want to get some of these degrees. You don't want to go be an electrician. You don't want to go be a millwright. You don't want to go be a welder. And unfortunately, it started a gap. So you've got a gap that began to take place from us starting to educate and have our children go towards other degrees. And then you have what's this resurgence in manufacturing that places the additional demands. And then you couple that with the evolution of what those demands look like. An electrician today is much different than what he or she may have been 15 years ago. So to help us fill some of those needs, we put together a program with Shelton State out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I didn't get to choose exactly where the state was, okay, so don't pick on me for that. But it was a great program. It's done wonders. I think we have anywhere from 15 to 20 students in it on an annualized basis. Those students come from sister divisions. We get to help identify in our area and potentially provide scholarships to them. A couple of students will go down. They basically get a full ride. So they go down, they participate in the classes, they come out of that with a degree, and during that opportunity they also get to work at facilities during the summers, during the winter periods, so they get the on-the-job training, And then when they graduate, guess what? What is every parent's fear? I just invested all this money and my child doesn't have a job. So their child's getting the education paid for, getting all the training paid for, and they have a job at the end of the day. So it's been a huge success for us. We'll continue to look at those opportunities. One of the things that was most endearing to my heart when I came here to Brandenburg is, and I've made many of my peers envious, is I got to see the school system. Congratulations to you and the school board and this community. It's unbelievable what has been done in this area. Often you do not come to a region in which is this size, that has school systems that have this kind of staffing, this vision, the career programs that are in place, the partnership with the technical colleges. And I've gone back going, man, because I said earlier, our team is what differentiates us. Our team is what makes us successful. Our team will be the only thing that creates a roadblock for us. And having the talent is absolutely the driver. We have the opportunity by coming to Brandenburg to be surrounded by an unbelievable community. A community that is going to support us, that's going to embrace us, that we're going to be part of. I assure you of that. We're going to be part of. We're going to work together. And a community that is going to deliver the talent to make this the best project that Nucor has ever executed on, and to help set us aside from any other company in the world. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what this means to us. The hiring phases will come. They'll roll out. We need that technical talent. We need skill sets that degrees will bring in those professional roles. Often in these communities, how many times, and I came from an area in which this was true as well, but every morning people got up and the headlights left town. That was the slogan. We're going to turn the headlights around, and we're going to give people a reason to stay right here in Brandenburg. And we're going to give parents like myself an opportunity where their kids, you don't have to look at them and say, son, daughter, if you're going to go and support your family, you may have to leave this area to do so. You can stay right here and you can have a wonderful job for many, many years. I know we've talked about submitted questions. I hope the slide deck has helped cover a number of your questions. I was told that many of you had commitments this weekend, so I needed to stop before we got there. I could talk forever about Nucor. I love Nucor. I love the team that I'm surrounded by. I am so thankful to be able to be part of this project. And most importantly, I know from past experience what this can mean to a community. I lived in Louisiana. I went there when it was absolutely a field. And I watched people come in, and I watched going through the interview process, and men and women come and say, you've changed my life. You've given me an opportunity to do something I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. And it's not a job. It's not a job. It's a career. It's an absolute career. Because once we're hiring you, we're making an investment in you, and we expect an investment from you and us, and we're going to have a lifelong career together making this facility a success. So again, today's a very big milestone moment for us being here. We're proud to be part of the community. It's a special moment for me as I get to entrench myself here in this area, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. So thank you.